Gender hurts everyone: cis women, cis men, trans women, trans men, intersex individuals, and many others. The following is a series of examples taken from scholarly texts that support the argument that the socially constructed gender system negatively impacts those on every point of the gender spectrum. The current cultural idea that men are men and women are women does not leave room for anyone in between or anyone who is not the ideal version of masculine or feminine. Displaying gender is an optional process as we do gender in various interactions. However, being gendered by others is not optional. We create a dichotomy of people based on their genitalia and assume these organs have something to do with the way they should behave. Gender is embedded frequently in our everyday language and behaviors. The if-can test suggests if someone can be seen as male or female, we ought to categorize them in that way. We do this unless information to the contrary is presented. For example, a person with a beard in a dress. Gender-marked roles add a gendered adjective to what should be a genderless noun, such as calling someone a male nurse or a female doctor. We do this because of our preconceived notions about who should be doing these jobs in the first place. We place others in a gender category by determining their gender based on how they present. The problem with this is that you cannot tell what gender someone is by their physical appearance and their doing of gender. Determination of gender can place transgender people in the wrong category, leading to dysphoria and distress. Trans people's access to men's spaces and women's spaces, such as bathrooms and locker rooms, is often debated. Women's spaces are more policed than men's spaces due to the inherent idea that women are weak and must be protected. Transgender and intersex athletes are subject to scrutiny of their gender in order to compete in gender-segregated Olympic events. A trans woman with a penis would be seen as a danger to her fellow competitors due to her genitalia, because penises are seen as a danger to women.
Everyone has a position within the system of race, gender, class, sexuality, race, and ability. The combination of these categories creates unique life experiences and expectations, and this shapes our privileges. It is important to pay attention to intersectionality because if we focus on the most privileged and widely recognized category, we will have a distorted understanding of the others. For example, Crenshaw focuses on the intersection of race and gender and how they're often not considered separate issues. If you don't recognize and pay attention to the multiple areas of inequality, then you ignore the diversity within a singular social category. For example, if you pay attention to women's issues in general, you're really only paying attention to the white woman's issue.
Women are seen as vulnerable and unable to protect themselves. Men are seen as dangerous, aggressive, and violent with intention to hurt others. This ideology hurts women because they fall victim to vulnerable subjecthood and believe that they cannot defend themselves. This hurts men because it paints a picture of all men being violent and out to get women, when in fact most men do not have violent tendencies. The fag discourse has more to do with failing at masculinity rather than actual homosexuality. This is a problem for gay men because it trivializes their sexuality and stereotypes them as feminine. It also hurts straight boys because they have to be hypermasculine at all times to avoid being labeled as fags, and thus being social outcasts from their peers.
The stereotype type is a recognized stereotype that actually damages performances. For example, if you tell women that they won't be as good at math as men, they will unintentionally confirm this stereotype. Socially constructed ideas on gender performance are damaging to women who wish to pursue jobs that are male-dominated. When a child is born in the United States or Western Europe, they cannot leave the hospital without an assigned sex. This is troubling for an infant born with genitals that are not obviously one or the other, and is declared a state of medical emergency. Gender requirements have built-in heterosexual assumptions, hurting everyone who later does not define as such. Fixing intersexuals is not natural, it's painful, it reinforces socially constructed beliefs about oppositeness, and it forces them to conform to the binary world before they can even speak. According to Amy Shallett, American parents exemplify a far more polarized world for their girls than their boys, unlike the Netherlands. By internalizing messages they hear in school from their physicians, culture, and common media outlets, teens navigate gender dilemmas such as expectations for their gender and the dangers associated with having sex. The sexual double standard makes too much sex a problem for girls, but too little sex a problem for boys. American girls fear being called a slut or a whore, so they shape their behaviors to avoid such stigma, like limiting relationships, only having sex in specific circumstances that are okay, and not demanding pleasure or indicating desire. The sexual double standard for boys leads boys to brag about their exaggerated sex, to seem masculine, and act like they don't care about their partners, when in reality they actually do.